Before we dive into this episode, I want to tell you guys about our workshop. It's the Next Era of Your Business workshop. We created this workshop because we know that sometimes in your business, things can get stuck, your growth can plateau, and the next steps just seem very blurry. This workshop is a space for you to workshop your way to your next era. We cover the 3 essential elements of a thriving business. Number 1 being your mindset, number 2, your branding, and number 3, your magnetic website. If all of this sounds like something that you really need to work on, then this workshop is for you. You can go to aryastudio.co/workshop to get access. Now, let's dive into the episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Creative-ish podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in once again to another episode. We're your host. I'm Kelly.
And I am Ariana.
Yeah, she's suddenly British. Oh, God.
I don't know why I'm like this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm finished with that. I'm done with that. Let's continue.
It's behind you.
It's behind. I'm sorry. That was lame. We hope you guys are having a great morning, evening, or whatever time it is that you're listening or watching this. Today, we wanted to share with you guys kind of like a week in the life of how we manage our time, how we are trying to stay consistent with our projects, how we meet deadlines, and yeah, it's just kind of like our productivity workflow as online business owners and creative service providers, and also doing the podcast, like how we juggle it all and how we, make things happen.
The inspiration for recording this podcast was, I think, last Sunday. We were like both talking to each other and bouncing off ideas because, as you guys will find out, Sunday is our content writing day. And we were like, wow, I feel like we finally nailed down the system for like actually being consistent and actually having effective communication when creating content. Mm-hmm. So right now we're feeling very proud of our workflow and our systems, and it's good. It's
going good. Hopefully it stays good.
Yeah, it's working.
It's working. Why don't we just start? The week starts off on Sunday. On Sunday, we have like all the planning and organization for the week. So we plan out what the theme of that week is going to be like. So recently we've been like assigning themes to weeks and
days as well.
And days, but like what I mean is for any media or content creation that we're doing, we assign a theme to the week so that it all kind of like correlates to each other. In our business, we have the newsletter, the podcast, and we also do some content creation for Instagram and TikTok. We assign like a theme of the week on Sunday. And we just recently started doing this, guys. And it was like, oh, this is amazing. So let's say that the theme of the week is selling and how to sell more. So we come up for an idea for the podcast about selling. We come up with what the newsletter is going to be, and the short form content is going to be around that same topic. And this way, it's also like easier to repurpose content from the podcast to the newsletter to Instagram and TikTok, because we're all trying to evoke the same message out there, the message of selling. So I think that doing that has helped us just to, keep things more organized and, make the content creation easier, because it's like you have a topic. Now make a bunch of different shit with that topic.
It's been like our guide whenever we choose like a word or like, as you said, a theme for the week. It's just so much easier to create content around that. And yeah, we do it basically now almost every week, and we have been doing it consistently, so I think it's working. But yeah, basically our week starts with Sunday, our favorite day, where we do a bunch of content writing, and we just like script out the podcast, or at least outline it. If we want it to be chatty, we just make it like the outline. And on Sundays, I write the newsletter as well. I mean, we write it, and we also, what else do? We like script out TikToks or like short form content, or we choose the timestamps of the podcast that is going to be published throughout the week. So basically on Sundays, we just create like the master plan, and then throughout the week, the only thing we need to do is execute and do what Addie and Kelly decided on Sunday. And it just makes it so much easier to just be like, okay, let me follow the rules.
Yeah, so on Sundays, I typically just plan out Mondays and Tuesdays. I don't like to plan out the whole week ahead because, things can change, things can happen. So I like to leave
A little wiggle room.
A little wiggle room, a little mystery. But yeah, so I time block on Google Calendar the next day and the upcoming day. So let's say that in the morning, I'm going to be doing the videos, like short form videos for TikToks. And then in the evening, I'm going to be designing. That is basically how I time block. It's not like I put every single task in my calendar because that will just look very overwhelming. But instead, I just have I time block for a specific activity. Like this time from 8 a.m. to 11, I'm going to be creating content. And then in the evening, it's all about content creation. And that's how I time block. And then the way that I keep track of what I need to do inside that chunk of time, I've recently been using Google Task, which I'm in love with. I hadn't used Google Task before. I didn't even know that it was there. But basically the great thing about using Google Task is that I have the app on my phone and it sends me reminders of, when a task is due. So I put a task, I can put the description of the task and the time and date by hour. So at this hour, you're going to be doing this. So it keeps me flowing, and especially me as somewhat of a procrastinator, perfectionist, sometimes I can spend way too much time on a task. So if I don't have that time restraint and that cue that is going to tell me it's time to move on to the next thing, I can just keep doing that same project and tweaking
all day,
all fucking day. So that's why time restraints are so important for me, for my efficiency with my time and productivity. I highly recommend it. We also use Notion. So two places to keep my tasks very organized.
Just to remind you, you know, 2 places.
Yeah.
I do time block everything because the things I'm working on right now, it's mostly bigger things, that it's one task that I do need to do for a long time because it has multiple steps. So instead of outlining all the steps, I'll time block it, and in the description of the Google Calendar event, I'll write the other little tasks.
Yeah, exactly. Or in Google Tasks, you can do subtasks. So you have a big task and then you have little tasks inside of that little task.
Exactly. Just so many things you can do.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on Mondays.
So now let's move over to Tuesdays. On Tuesday, the podcast comes out, and we also launch on social media the short form content. We also publish the short form content on YouTube. Everything is posted everywhere. And on Tuesdays as well, we take client calls sometimes. So we open our week up to 2 days where we have client calls, and that is Tuesdays and Thursdays. So those are also our call days.
Yeah, it's very important to have specific days for meetings. We use Honeybook for clients to schedule meetings with us so they can see our calendar availability. And it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can only book meetings Tuesdays and Thursdays. Of course, we're flexible if it needs to happen another day, but just having that structure to your week is really important for us, at least.
Yeah, because calls can take time before, during, and after. So, we like to take the afternoon to take calls on Tuesdays, because in the morning we're all up with the podcast, with the social media, with that. So in the evenings, we just take calls.
Yeah, I don't like to take calls first thing in the morning because I feel your morning is your most precious time for creative ideas or for you to do stuff that needs high energy. Depends on your energy levels in the morning or if you have more energy in the afternoon. But for example, me, I have more energy in the morning. My brain is ready to like
Alert.
do things that I'm
Yeah.
excited about. So I like to do more studio projects and more projects that I'm excited about that need my full attention and energy in the mornings. And then calls that are more like monotonous and just, that they don't need so much brain power. We'll do them in the afternoons.
And sometimes calls are also fun in a way because it's like they help you beat the afternoon slump. If it's like
Yeah.
a really exciting project, it's like, oh, I'm talking to you, like, and then I just get a bunch of ideas, and it's like, it keeps me going through the afternoon. And scheduling and all of that is really easy to do with HoneyBook, but there are also a lot of other platforms. But if you are interested in HoneyBook, we've got a cheeky affiliate code down below, and you can get HoneyBook for $1 for the next 6 months, which is insane. We didn't get that in the beginning. We paid full price from day one.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
Yeah, it's a great deal. But we love HoneyBook. Just a little side note, we've been using it for 2 years. On Wednesdays, we launch our favorite, the newsletter. I've been having so much fun.
Yes, guys, we haven't promoted it as much because we kind of just like wanted it. We wanted to be consistent without hyping people up.
For promoting it.
But we've been doing it consistently for around 4 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks, 4 weeks.
Consistently on Wednesdays. And yeah, so we'll probably do like a more real launch, but it's called the Dear Creatives newsletter. And basically it's a newsletter where we share what we're going through. We share like learnings and whatever
advice, insights, what we're loving.
Yeah,
favorites.
It's kind of like an extension of the podcast as well. And yeah, we also share like our current favorites.
And then Thursdays we just work basically. We just do what needs to get done. The task that we set out on Sunday, every morning we like sit down to see our task and take off maybe things that aren't really essential to do that particular day, and then we just
prioritization is very important
every single day.
Yeah, so every single day we prioritize together. And
So on Thursdays we do that. We just do client work and a medley of a bunch of stuff. There isn't a particular thing that we do. And on Fridays we record the podcast.
Yes. So all of Fridays we've been batching podcasts because if you guys don't know, we're moving. So right now we're batching podcasts every Friday. So yeah,
we're trying to record more than one so that we have more.
We have more. And then Saturdays we can either take the morning off or work some more. The thing is, there is always something to be done. So if you don't carve out time to like be a human, you won't, and you will get sucked into the to-do list of your business. So sometimes on Saturdays, we like to go for brunch or, go out for a drive or go to the beach or something like that. We don't actually sit in the sand because, we're lazy like that. Our go-to Saturday activity is going to Cafe Regina, ordering a grilled cheese with an avocado toast and an iced cashew milk latte, and then driving to the beach and listening to a good podcast.
And just sitting in the car while we look at the beach.
Yeah, we just
admire its beauty.
Just admire the view. So that's Saturday.
Yeah. On Saturdays, we also edit the podcast.
We also have to edit the podcast because the podcast is more like a side project and we're still doing client work and we still have other things. So we don't want the podcast to like merge itself into our weekly productivity. So we edit it on Saturdays. Hopefully it's done by Sunday so that we can, come up with a good title. And then the cycle starts all over again on Sunday. And then we plan some more.
So that is our productivity workflow right now. I think we can share some of our top tips for creating consistently. And I think what I would advise is to make creation a habit, like actually creating stuff. Even if you don't publish it, just get into the habit of writing, of doing stuff.
Yeah, and whatever it is that you want to be consistent with, you have to make a plan for how you're going to be consistent, because it's not going to happen by chance. If you don't plan for it, it's just not going to get done. That's why I am tied to my calendar and tied to my Notion, and also like knowing what you're working towards in the business. So we have like a 90-day plan of things that we want to launch, things that we want to achieve. So we make sure that everything that we do in the business, even the content creation, that it all ties into an end result, and that it all kind of like works towards one big goal. I was recently listening to the OK Sis podcast. I think that the title of the episode was around habits, and they were talking about the framework for building habits and making them stick is, it's a cycle. Like the habit needs to have a cue, then you need to set it up on a routine and kind of like give yourself a reward for each time that you successfully complete that habit or do that thing that you're trying to be consistent with. So it's the cycle of cue, routine, and reward. Now, for us, the cue is the Google Calendar and Notion and Google Task. This is how we are constantly aware of the things that we need to be doing, the habits that we need to do. So I have like reminders for, hey, it's content creation time, or hey, you're recording the podcast this day, or, setting yourself reminders so that you know when you need to do things and you don't just rely on your brain to remember to do it. And then setting up a routine around it. So like we said, we have a weekly schedule where each day we do certain things, and each day kind of like has a theme. And that forms a routine around how our weekly schedule looks like. And I think that we've been pretty good at keeping that routine consistent. So the routine that we just shared of planning on Sundays and then recording the podcast and then doing the short form videos and then doing the newsletter, that has been a routine. So it's kind of like easier to follow through with it because we know that it has like a domino effect. Mm-hmm. Each step has a domino effect on the rest of the week. And then getting a reward.
Going to Cafe Regina.
Going to Cafe Regina, getting Saturdays off. Honestly, the reward can be just like whatever it is that you want, but rewarding yourself for doing a good job and for working on your habits is essential. It's healthy.
Just the satisfaction of doing a job well done. That's my reward.
Yeah, so in the past we've tried to do like
gamification and reward systems,
like giving ourselves points if we did workouts and how long of a workout it is. It gave us more points,
using competition to our advantage.
Yeah, we did it.
But Addie isn't competitive, so sometimes it doesn't work.
You're not competitive.
I win.
So give yourself a reward. It also like helps your brain know that every time I do this, it's going to feel good and I'm going to get a little reward afterward. Basically, that's kind of like how we manage our time. I recently saw a quote as well that I wanted to share on this episode, and it's like, success is only 5% brains and then 95% consistency.
5% brains?
5% brains and 95% consistency. That's what the quote said. But if you think about it, it makes sense. Like, how much do you actually use your brain? A lot of the times we're just repeating tasks and doing things again and again. There is a workflow.
I thought you meant that it didn't have to be smart.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, also, it's like you can have a mediocre idea, but if you are really passionate and consistent about getting it out there and you do your absolute best, you're probably gonna succeed because it's like that compound effect.
Okay. No ideas are mediocre.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not an industry disrupting idea. What I'm trying to get across is not putting so much
emphasis on the idea, but on the consistency.
emphasis on you as a person, your talent, quote unquote, and how much talent you don't or do have. And you know what? It's all about having that consistency and showing up. That's kind of like what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, I get it.
Hopefully that landed with the people that it needed to land with.
I think consistency, it is the most important thing, because I know so many smart people that just fall off the wagon, and so many good projects I've seen that just fall off the wagon. Then I see these other projects that I like as well, but like they're consistent, and it like gives me the opportunity to either binge watch their content or get to know the person better and all of that. And it's like, oh, because you're consistent, I'm able to connect with you more, and you know, as a consumer. So you know, don't give up, and just try to put yourself out there and
give
your
up.
idea.
So yeah, basically, and I think that having a productivity system, using Notion or whatever tool you want to use, can help you a lot to just like make that plan, follow through with the plan. For us, the magic combo is Notion plus Google Calendar and now Google Task. So yeah, we also have Notion template for our daily dashboard, like the dashboard that we use daily to plan out our weeks on Notion so that we know what task Kelly has to do and Addie has to do in the business. We also have like the studio calendar where we put our deadlines, we plan our next 90 days and the projects that need to be done in those next 90 days. We also have like a prioritization list right at the top so that we know our priority this month is the podcast, or our priority this month is launching a new website template. And then we prioritize like priority number 1, priority number 2, priority number 3, and that kind of just like helps us know where we need to put more time buckets into. And yeah, that template is completely free, so I highly suggest that you guys check it out and start using Notion. It's truly a wonderful tool.
If you haven't hopped on that bandwagon, you need to hop on it. You know, Notion is a great tool, very easy to use, and just a great tool all around. So that was today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for watching Creativish. This is a brand new channel on YouTube, so subscribing, liking the videos, and commenting goes a long way. If you want to keep listening to us, you can watch any of the other videos we have on this page.